Hello friends, and welcome to a very exciting journal with me, because today we're going to be doing a bit of junk journaling, which isn't something I do too often on my channel. Like, I'll do bits of junk journaling within my normal journaling, but not like going full into the junk journaling. So I recently got this book, which is A Year of Junk Journaling by Martina Calvi, and it has basically a different prompt for every single week. And I'm not planning on following it each week in that order of prompts. I'm just going to be doing some of the prompts that kind of spark my creativity and things that I want to have a go at. I have been collecting some bits and bobs to use in my journal spread, and we're going to be doing 2 spreads today. One of them is going to be about the seasons changing, and then the other one is the little things. So I've been collecting just little bits of junk to use, and yeah, we're just gonna have a go and have fun with it. So if you have your journal, then maybe you should grab it, and if you've got some things you could use, then maybe pause the video and grab some bits and bobs, and then you can always follow along with me with these prompts. But yeah, I'm really excited to just give it a go, and I hope it maybe inspires you to try some of these as well. So yeah, let's get started. So the first spread that we are going to be doing today is the little things, and the reason why I wanted to do this is because I had just been collecting some little bits of junk. So on each page it tells you things you can collect, things you can reflect on in the spread, and just a bit of information about the inspiration. So for this spread, I followed similar to hers because each one has an example of basically the spread that she's made following the same prompt. And I really wanted to create a little photo booth as well. And I actually found this really cool website. I'll link it in the description so you can use it, where basically it pops up like a little photo booth and you take the pictures as if you are in a photo booth, but you just do it on your phone and then you can download them. And then I just printed them out on some sticker paper, but I really love how it turned out, so I feel like I'm definitely going to use that again in the future for maybe some journaling, or if I go out with a friend then I can do it with them, because I just feel like it'll be really cute. I'd also been hoarding some fortune cookie little fortunes, and the fortunes are terrible, by the way. Not as in like it's a bad fortune, but they're just not even fortunes. The majority of them, they're just quotes. Like one of them is "Don't judge a book by its cover." So I wanted to add those because I just think they're quite funny, and they're little and small, so they were a good addition. This is my little box of scraps and random bits of ephemera, where I just kind of grab things from here if I need a little bit of something, and I was trying to mainly use pieces of paper from this box within this spread. So I went with a blue theme, mainly because the tea packet that I'm using is blue, so I wanted it to go with that. And then I grabbed this book page, which had a really pretty illustration of a stack of books, so I figured I would add that in the spread because I love reading books, so it just makes sense. Now there's a quote at the start of this book which I really like, and it says the number one rule of journaling is there are no rules, and that's something that I've always tried to stick by within my own journaling, because I found that whenever I give myself rules, it's really hard to journal because then I'm always trying to stick by them. So that's how I've always approached journaling within my journal, and that's what makes it so creatively inspiring for me, is I can just do whatever I want in my journal whenever I want, and that's what I really like. So yeah, I really liked that quote, especially as I feel like a lot of people kind of say that there's certain rules about types of journaling, and I really don't like that, because I feel like journaling is a very fluid hobby and you can kind of dive into different styles of it. You can tweak it to fit your needs, and I feel like people joining the hobby don't want to feel like they're doing something wrong. So I do think it's important for people to remember that actually journaling is different for everybody, and that's totally fine. That is the beauty of it. So yeah, I just wanted to put my 2 pence in there about that one. So back to the spread, I wanted to use these little bits of blue washi because I just felt like I needed to add a little bit of something else in there. So I added those to add a bit more depth into the spread. The main piece of the spread was the picture that I printed out, which is why it is in the center. And it was just really fun, like layering all these different textures down. Some things found, some things gifted to me. Because I do pen paling, a lot of bits of ephemera and found things are actually gifted to me by my pen pals, which is super helpful because it just gives me a whole range of things that I can use. And I'm also using my own sticker sheet here because there's just lots of cute quotes on it, and I wanted to stick down the sentimental soul quote on this spread. And I also wanted to use the little stars just to again add some little more details in there. And it's not very often that I use my own sticker sheets, so it was really fun to actually use them for once. But I had so much fun making this spread. It's definitely a different style that I'm used to, but it was really fun to come out of what I usually do and just push myself to make something a little bit different. And I definitely had fun using all the little found trinkets in my collection that I'd been saving. So I feel like I'm definitely going to start saving little bits more and more. And I feel like naturally I am going to do that because next year I plan on having a daily hobonichi for daily journaling, where I am also going to be sticking down daily bits of junk that I find. Now for the next spread, I thought it would seem very fitting to do one about seasons changing, as I'm recording this, we are going into autumn. So I did start by collecting some leaves to add into my spread. Now for this spread, I wanted to do something a little bit bigger, which is why I'm using this different journal, which is I guess more of a journal where I just play around with different art spreads and things like that. And then I also took some pictures on my walk, so I figured I would add them in there as well. Now the big leaf, I picked that one up because I thought it was pretty, and then the oak leaf, that one I grabbed because it basically fell from the tree straight into my bag. So I was like, oh, well, I guess you're meant to be coming home with me. So that is why I'm also adding that one. And then I grabbed the little acorn because I'm hoping to do a little bit of stamping with it on the spread. So that was the plan. Now I grabbed lots of different scraps again that I would be able to use for the background. And I didn't really have a plan with this spread. I just figured that I would have fun, and that is basically exactly what I did. I of course chose some papers that reflect the season, the warm tones. I decided that for this spread I wasn't going to do too much written journaling, maybe just adding a few little doodles and such. So I didn't leave that much space for writing, and then I figured if I changed my mind later on, I could always stick a memo down or something and do my written journaling on there. But as I said, the reason why I want to kind of experiment with this a little bit more is mainly just to have fun. So that is why I'm doing this, and it was just really nice to layer up all the different textures and try and use all the things that I'd found. Now, the reason why I have some baking paper here is because I'm going to be turning these leaves into stickers. So the idea is that you basically put sellotape on the paper first. I forgot to do that here, so I will rectify it. And you put sellotape down. You could also do this on sticker release paper, or if you've used up a sticker sheet, you could use the backing. It just basically needs to be anything that you would be able to take a sticker off. And then once you've put your layer of sellotape down, you then stick your leaf down and almost sandwich it between the two layers of sellotape, and that will effectively be your protective film. And then when you peel off your leaf, it will essentially be like a sticker. Now, if I had actually pressed these leaves, then they would probably go down a lot better, but I'm very impatient and I went for the walk the day that I recorded this, so I basically just wanted to journal straight away, so I didn't want to wait for the leaves to become fully flat, but it almost just adds a bit of extra texture into the journal anyway, and it almost makes them look more realistic because that's basically how I found them. So once you've covered them, then you just cut them out. And it doesn't matter how you cut them out really, because obviously the paper is going to disappear once you stick them down. I guess if you wanted to have a stronger adhesive, you could do a thicker outline so that more of the sellotape is sticking the leaf down. I guess it just depends how chunky the thing is that you're trying to stick down. Then I just played around with the composition a little bit to decide where I wanted these, and I didn't think too deeply about it. I figured, well, I'll just stick them down and then I can figure it out later what else I want to put on this spread. Now, the little intro that it gave you in the book is it said, "Autumn is a season of quiet transformation and reflection. It's a moment to consider how we are changing in subtle ways, like the leaves on the trees that change their hue. Capture the essence of autumn with warm colours, cozy textures, and memories tied to the season." So that is basically what I did. It also said that you could add some fall-inspired poetry or quotes, which would have been cute, but I didn't end up doing that. But I did decide to grab this old, well, I say old, it was just a Polaroid picture that didn't come out very well that I took earlier this year, and I have like a whole chunk of them in that little drawer and I wasn't sure what to do with them, so I figured, well, I'll just add it to this spread because it'll be something else. And if you can see, there's just my little face reflection in the picture. Makes me look a little bit like an alien, but it's fine because I wanted to cover it up and then stick one of the pictures inside. I guess almost like a frame for the picture, but I didn't want to obviously cut the Polaroid frame itself, so I just stuck this scrap piece down and then layered it on top. Within my journaling, I do like to use stickers and things, so I did use some stickers to decorate this spread. Not too many, they're not the focal point, but I feel like I just personally enjoy stickers, and this big autumn leaf was actually gifted to me by my pen pal, and so were all the other goodies, including the die cut oak leaf and the vintage ticket, so I figured it would be perfect. So now I'm using the acorn to just try and stamp, and it came out basically as a little circle, almost a bit like a coffee cup stain, and I just decided to stamp it around the whole spread. As I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just having fun stamping this little acorn, and I thought that it added a little bit more texture, and it just almost creates a little extra memory to the spread because now I will remember finding this little acorn cup and using it to stamp. It did have a little tiny circle on it, so I did try and stamp that, but it didn't work as well, and then I decided to just try and experiment to see if maybe any of the other edges would stamp, but they didn't do it particularly well, so I kind of gave up on that one. But I'm really happy with the shapes that it made, and as I said, it was just fun to do. And then I did grab one of my stamps with a little flower on just to add some more little decoration to the spread. Now I wanted to add the title of this spread here, so I just used my brown brush pen to write "Seasons Changing," which is the name of the prompt. I feel like I'm not going to do this on every spread because I didn't do it on the last one, but I wanted to add it onto this spread. And then I went in with my fountain pen just to write some little notes of the things that I noticed changing in the season on my walk. For example, the leaves and all the mushrooms that had started popping up. And then I went in with my pen and just decided to do some little doodles, and I also wanted to just write down about my little acorn stamp that I'd made. But yeah, you could definitely just grab some other things from the forest and try and see what textures you could stamp. That's actually one of the other prompts, is finding things in the world and creating stamps out of them. So maybe I'll have to try that one as well in the future. And then I just drew some little leaves and doodles onto it just to add a little bit of something extra. I honestly had so much fun making these two spreads. It was really nice to try something different and just to try and experiment with textures a little bit more, because I do really enjoy them, but it's not something I tend to do in my everyday journaling. But you'll have to let me know which spread you preferred and if you had a go at any of them yourself, and if you want me to make any more in the future. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one.